312 hours, Arabian Sea, 214 nautical miles southwest of Kharg Island. The flight deck of the USS Gerald R. Ford is silent. No catapult launches, no arresting wires screaming under tension. Just the low, restless growl of 4 nuclear reactors cycling at 70% power and the rhythmic hiss of 18-foot swells against 100,000 tons of American combat steel. Below deck, in the carrier's flag plot, Rear Admiral David Hargrove is staring at a screen that most people will never see in their lifetime. It shows a real-time satellite composite of Kharg Island, a 13-square-kilometer strip of rock and pipeline infrastructure in the northern Persian Gulf that handles 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. $6 billion of pumping stations, loading terminals, storage tanks, and IRGC air defense batteries. Iran's economic spine, its oxygen supply. In 11 minutes, the order will be given to remove it from the map. 313. The kill chain is live. 2,300 miles to the northwest, 2 B-2A Spirit stealth bombers, call signs Ghost 11 and Ghost 12, are already feet dry over Iranian airspace. They cross the border at 50,000 feet, radar cross-sections the size of a hummingbird, ghost riding the seams between Iran's Russian-supplied S-300P MU-2 engagement envelopes. Each aircraft carries 8 GBU-57A/B massive ordnance penetrators, 30,000-pound bunker busters capable of punching through 60 feet of reinforced concrete before detonating. Simultaneously from 4 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers arrayed in the Arabian Sea, USS Carney, USS Mason, USS Cole, and USS Gravely, the VLS cells are cycling open. BGM-109E Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles, GPS-guided with maritime strike modules, DSMAC terrain contour matching, and terminal infrared seekers updated by 24-hour ISR tasking. Each missile knows its target. Each target is a node. Destroy the nodes, collapse the network. At the same time, 3 F/A-18F Super Hornets from VFA-32 are already 90 miles out, skimming the wave tops at 600 knots to position for standoff AGM-88E AAR GMER shots against Kharg's Tor M1 surface-to-air battery radars. You don't fire into a defended zone. You kill the defenders first. 0314. Iran detects the launch. Iran's long-range radar network at Bid Boland registers the Tomahawk launches. 32 separate tracks, multiple bearing vectors, all converging on Kharg. The IRGC Aerospace Force commander at Site Katam has 8 minutes to respond before first impact. He picks up a secure line and issues a single phrase: execute Tarlan. In underground command bunkers beneath Tehran, Tabriz, and Shiraz, the pre-planned retaliatory matrix activates. Tarlan is Iran's doctrine of distributed multi-domain saturation, the strategic answer to American precision killing. Don't try to match the US missile for missile. Overwhelm every node simultaneously with volume that no kill web can fully absorb. Within 90 seconds, the first wave of Shahed 136 Delta Wing loitering munitions, 140 airframes, lifts off from dispersed launch sites across Khuzestan province. Their target, the USS Gerald R. Ford. 316. The Ford's sensors see everything. And it doesn't matter. AN/SPY-6V1 AMDR, the air and missile defense radar aboard the Ford, is a generational leap beyond Aegis. It can track 100 times more objects simultaneously than the legacy SPY-1 system, painting a 360-degree sphere of defended airspace out to 550 kilometers. The Tactical Action Officer, Lieutenant Commander Raina Oakes, watches 140 inbound tracks populate her scope. The system auto-categorizes them: low altitude, subsonic, small radar cross-section, Shade 136, known contact, known solution. Lieutenant Commander Oakes initiates shorehead laydown. The Ford's embarked carrier air wing launches 4 FA-18Es on combat air patrol interception vectors. 3 Arleigh Burke escorts activate RIM-162 ESSM Block 2 in quad-pack VLS cells. The USS Cole's Mk-15 Phalanx CIWS turret rotates to its autonomous intercept posture. 4,500 rounds per minute of tungsten waiting for anything that survives the outer and mid layers. But 140 airframes is not 20. It is not 50. It is a calculated mathematical problem. Saturate the finite magazine depth of every ship in the strike group faster than reload cycles can compensate. The IRGC has run this math. They believe the Ford's total defensive intercept capacity will be exceeded by Wave 3. They are almost right. 3:18. The Kharg strike begins. Ghost 11 releases its first GBU-57 at 52,000 feet. The weapon falls for 37 seconds in near silence before the GPS and inertial guidance package corrects its terminal trajectory to within 3 meters of the aim point. Kharg's primary crude loading manifold. Impact velocity, Mach 0.8. The weapon penetrates 22 feet of hardened concrete before detonating. The secondary explosion is not measured in kilotons. It is measured in the 800,000 barrels of crude oil sitting in storage tank Farm Alpha. The fireball is visible from Iraqi oil platforms 70 miles away. Within 40 seconds, 7 of the 8 GBU-57s from Ghost 11 have struck. Ghost 12 begins its own release sequence against the IRGC naval base on Kharg's western shore, 3 Ghadar-class midget submarines moored in a reinforced pen. The pen does not survive. Simultaneously, the first Tomahawks arrive. 16 impact Kharg's pipeline infrastructure over a 90-second window. The remaining 16 arc northwest to hit the Bandar Imam Khomeini oil export terminal on the mainland, Iran's backup loading facility. No single strike ends Iran's oil exports. Destroying both in the same 11-minute window cuts the entire artery. 0321. The Ford Group is fighting for its life. Wave 1 of the Shahed 136 assault hits the outer FA-18E combat air patrol. 12 drones engage, 11 are splashed by AEM-120D AMRAAMs. 1 punches through. The ESSM layer catches it at 14 kilometers. The Phalanx never has to fire. Wave 2 arrives 4 minutes later. 40 airframes. The kill chain holds. 38 are destroyed. 2 survive into gun range. 1 takes 15 rounds of Phalanx fire and disintegrates 200 meters from the Ford's island structure. The explosion scatters shrapnel across the flight deck. 17 sailors are treated for lacerations. The flight deck never closes. Wave 3 is different. It contains 88 airframes, but only 40 are Shaheds. The other 48 are Rad 500 ballistic missiles fired from mobile TELs in Bushehr province. Time to arrive simultaneously and divide the SM-2 and SM-6 engagement envelope between 2 different altitude bands. Lieutenant Commander Oakes makes the call in under 4 seconds. She prioritizes the ballistic threats to the SM-6 layer and reassigns the ESSM and Phalanx exclusively to the low-altitude drone wave. The Aegis Cooperative Engagement Capability Network links all 4 destroyers into a single unified fire control picture. No weapon is fired twice at the same target. No target is missed from the assignment matrix. Of the 48 ballistic missiles, 44 are intercepted. 4 survive to terminal phase. 2 are caught by CIWS. 1 detonates 180 meters off the port bow of the USS Mason. The shockwave floods the destroyer's engine room with 6 inches of water. The ship remains fully combat capable. The last missile strikes nothing. At 37 kilometers altitude, its re-entry vehicle's GPS guidance module receives a spoofed navigation signal from an E/A-18G Growler orbiting at 40,000 feet. The warhead impacts open ocean 19 kilometers wide of any target. 0323. Silence over Kharg Island. Satellite imagery from KH-13, improved crystal, processed in real time at NRO's ground station Tango, shows a peninsula that no longer functions as an export terminal. Tank Farm Alpha is a carbon crater. The loading manifolds are structurally collapsed. The submarine pen is rubble. The IRGC air defense batteries that were supposed to stop this are quiet, because 3 hours ago, the AGM-88E shots from VFA-32 found their fire control radars and turned them into aluminum oxide and silence. Iran wanted to defend Kharg. They spent 14 years hardening it with S-300 batteries, Tor systems, and hardened revetments. What they could not defend against was a weapon system they could never see. B-2s flying inside their radar nulls, Tomahawks following terrain contours at 100 feet, and F/A-18s that fired from 50 miles away and were already aggressing before the first radar warning receivers alarmed. The financial ledger. Iran's daily crude export revenue from Kharg, approximately $85 million. Estimated reconstruction timeline, 14 to 22 months, assuming sanctions relief and no further strikes. Total economic impact of one 11-minute strike window, $37 to $60 billion in lost export revenue before the first pipe is rebuilt. The U.S. expended 32 Tomahawks at $1.87 million each. 8 GBU-57s at $3.5 million each, and approximately 200 ESSM and SM-6 interceptors in defense of the strike group. Total U.S. expenditure, approximately $640 million. Iran lost the economic engine that funds its military. The math is not close. The geopolitical aftermath. Within 6 hours, crude oil futures spike 18% on the CME war risk insurance premiums for Gulf shipping triple. Saudi Arabia, which has been quietly allowing U.S. aircraft basing rights at Prince Sultan Air Base, issues a statement condemning Iranian attacks on Gulf infrastructure. Qatar intercepts 2 inbound Iranian missiles over Doha before dawn. The UAE closes Dubai airspace for 47 minutes as Patriot batteries engage a Shahed cluster over the Jebel Ali port complex. Iran's foreign minister appears on state television and declares the Islamic Republic has not requested a ceasefire and will continue to defend itself, as long as it takes. Simultaneously, satellite imagery shows a significant portion of Iran's remaining submarine fleet pulling back into hardened pens at Bandar Abbas. The IRGC Navy has just watched 3 Ghadir boats, its shallow water ambush doctrine in hardware form, turned to scrap metal by a weapons system that crossed 200 nautical miles in 11 minutes and was never detected. The Strait of Hormuz remains open. The Ford Strike Group remains on station. The catapults are already cycling for the morning launch. Some wars are decided in months of grinding attrition. Others are decided when one side demonstrates, in a single 11-minute window, that the other side has no realistic path to victory on the physical, informational, or economic battlefield. Simultaneously, Iran's military planners built their doctrine on the assumption that Kharg was too vital for the United States to strike, that the cost of regional escalation would stay America's hand. What they failed to model was a scenario in which the United States decided that Iran's nuclear clock ran faster than the diplomatic one. Kharg is dark, the oil is not flowing, and the B-2s are already back over the Atlantic, their landing gear cycling down at Whiteman Air Force Base, their crews filing after-action reports over lukewarm coffee. Stay sharp, stay subscribed. The next 72 hours will determine whether this becomes a ceasefire or a continent.